What you want, yeah. We just chillin' by the Wawas, lemonade with the large fries. Puff twice for the calm high, ayy, what you want, yeah. Big checks make the bank bounce. Old school candy paint down. Bad chicks, they from down south, ayy, what you want, yeah.
She-Hulk sucks, and it's all because of men. Now, I've been watching a lot of the Marvel movies on Disney Plus because I wanted to catch up with them. And I decided to watch She-Hulk. And boy, when I tell you I regretted this shit, I regretted this shit. And She-Hulk is getting a lot of bad ratings. Their viewership is low, one of the lowest on Disney Plus. I think even lower than Miss Marvel, I believe. And apparently it's our fault. But I've watched this show. I try to give a lot of grace with certain shows. I didn't see any bad interviews or anything before that. I didn't see none of that before that until after I watched the show, and I already had my feelings about it. And then when I seen on the internet, everybody else was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sounds pretty valid. She-Hulk doesn't suck just because, oh, men just don't like it because it's She-Hulk and blah, blah, blah. It's just because it's just bad writing, It's one of these shows that try to pull some sort of agenda, And what might that agenda be, might you ask? It's woman good, men bad. Woman can never do any bad, men always do bad. And the problem with this agenda that they're pushing, and I see that they're pushing it with a lot of Marvel shows and a lot of shows in general just now, So the problem with these agendas is it just focuses too much on these specific things instead of just writing a good show with a good woman lead actress and a good woman lead role. So they lose sight of of just making a good show. Movies that have these type of underlying tones and things like that, they want to show that, women are better than men and men always get everything wrong and they're stupid and they're dumb and things like that. And we go through more. It's like a I don't know, it's like a suffering Olympics or something like that, I feel like all of that can be pretty much encapsulated by this one scene right here.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or I might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Boy, if you don't...
This scene is the first scene of the show that kind of set everything off, And the problem with this scene is that she explains what she goes through as a woman and controlling her anger. And which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that first scene. And then she ends it off with saying, I do it infinitely better than you, Bruce. Which we know the Hulk has been through a bunch of shit. So it's just like, the problem with this scene is if you wanted to do that scene better, you could have just talked about what you went through as a woman without putting Bruce down. And it's just the underlying thing through the whole show. You can see it in the whole catcalling scene. It's just very forced and it's very lazy writing. The scene itself doesn't even make any sense. I don't like this tone where it's just like, let's paint men bad all the time and women are good all the time unless a man's there controlling them. Instead of just writing when you write a good characters, you have to write them with certain flaws. The problem with She-Hulk is she doesn't have none. The problem with that character is that when you're trying to make the audience understand and try to resonate with that character, you have to understand that people aren't perfect, and that includes women. But what the tone of the show is showing is that, she's perfect. She just needed to realize it, and that can be shown by even the opening scene where she's just flowered by just compliments from her secretary. She's the best and this and that, only to be brought down by who? A big evil guy, and say, no, you need a man to tell you how to do things. It's like we can see that from a mile away. There's so many like shows that are starting to do this now, and people are just, they're tired of it. They're really tired of it. What makes a good story is not the fact that, somebody's good and just overcoming things. It's the struggle to get through those things that makes the story good. I'll give you an example. Iron Man. If Iron Man was just perfect from the beginning, when he was in Iron Man 1, and all he needed was Miss Potts to tell him that you're perfect, you just didn't realize it, that would make a really boring character and a very boring movie. The reason Iron Man was so well received is because he had an ego. He had a problem, and he had to go through an accident and see that all his creations were causing harm to people, and had to bring himself down in order to bring himself back up. People like a story like that where a character, especially superheroes, have to triumph something. Even in the first Thor movie, he lost all his powers and he had to regain them in order for him to become that god of thunder, Thor, that we all know. But with a lot of these lead female movies, it's just like, no, the woman's perfect from the beginning and she's can do no wrong, and she doesn't need to, work on herself or any way. It makes for a boring story and boring writing. No wonder it gets such low freaking ratings. But you know what? And with this story too, and in a lot of other stories, it just goes that you're just shitting on men, which is the stupidest thing to do, because obviously the entire just comic book scene and things like that, they're very male dominated because a lot of males watch those type of shows. There are women who watch those shows, especially nowadays, but your consumers are mostly men. So why would you go out of your way to shit on them? Men will watch a story that is with a female lead or women that are lead if you just write a good story. Just very simple as that. A good example of that, where you just shit on your consumer, who are mostly men, it was a Gillette commercial that came out, I think 3 years ago. They made a commercial for Gillette talking about toxic masculinity, and just had men looking around, basically looking like fucking buffoons and doing dumb shit. And it received a lot of backlash from men who were their main consumers, and they lost billions of dollars. So it's just not smart to really do that. You can make a lead role with women and express some of their things without making that the main focus, without making that the main focus. And it's just, there are great movie roles and stuff where there's a lead actor and they freaking kill it. I watched the last Doctor Strange, whatever, she wasn't the lead role in that, but it was Scarlet Witch, and her acting was phenomenal. It was crazy. She had my jaw dropping for plenty of scenes, and there's other scenes and stuff. There's other movies like What Happened to Monday, where the actor was just playing multiple roles, killing it. And the undertone wasn't, oh, men bad, men this. They didn't focus on that. They just focused on writing a good story and showing the struggles of the character and how they would overcome it. So there's plenty more examples, with Alien and Terminator and stuff, where you had Sarah Connor and different lead actors who were women and well received by both men and women. But with shows like these, it doesn't make any sense when you're trying to put this agenda and focusing so much on it that you forget the actual plot of the story and the character. Now, maybe I'm just a big dumb man. I don't know what the fuck to talk about. Maybe it's just me. I'm just a guy. I don't fucking understand. What do the women think that actually watch comics?
I think too with this show is what they've done right out the gate is just bombard you with so many instances of, oh, these are things women go through, that to the point to where it's too much to even absorb, to where it just feels like a bunch of pandering. Because let's face it, some of these things do happen sometimes. There's plenty of valid instances where, yeah, we are scared to walk outside at night, things like that. There are plenty of valid situations where that happens. But the problem is whenever you shoehorn as many of these incidences all at once like that, then it doesn't come across as genuine. And if anything, it makes these actual valid instances less serious, to where people aren't going to take it as serious anymore.
And I think that what gets to me the most, and this has just been a pattern now, and Mahler, we talk about this all the time on the Real BBC, but it's this pattern now with the MCU, where it's like this constant, let's put down the male characters in order to lift the women characters. And I'm sick of this blueprint that they're following. I hate it. I can't stand the Hulk being a joke. I can't stand Thor being a joke. It's just every single male character is a joke all the time. And and it's just, they're evil, they're bad. Oh, like the first episode, it's like the whole Captain America, being a virgin thing. Like, it's so disrespectful, so fucking retarded. I'm just why?
As you can see in that clip, not even women like the show. Not even women who read comics and they're heavily invested in the same into comics and into the space and everything. They don't like the show neither, because they can see the blatant pandering and underlying agenda in these type of shows, and it's just cringy, and also it kind of cheapens the experience of what women actually go through. So, yeah, it's just these shows need to stop. And talk about cringe. I don't even know if I want to talk about that She-Hulk twerking scene, but yeah, we're gonna just let that go. But yeah, I'm just saying, I'm all for including women into making sure they get lead acting roles in movies and into comics and stuff. But you don't have to put men down to lift women up. You can write a story about women that's just about a woman that's trying to overcome a challenge, and it can come out to be a great movie. A lot of these movies were very well received, whatever, like the ones that I previously mentioned. And we can do these roles without having to putting each other down. And that's why a lot of these movies with lead male actors, it's not because, it's just a man and, it's going to be good because the men going to watch it, It's because they write a good story. It's very simple as that, And I think that these writers need to just focus on writing a good story. Stop putting these very good women actress into these, trying to fit them into this little box and this agenda. And then, because these actors, they just take the role. They just, they're taking whatever's written on a script and they doing whatever it is, Just write a good, strong female lead and you'll be good. You have talented women who can play these roles and things like that. Stop forcing this cringy agendas and forcing these girls to twerk. Like, it's just not good. So that's just my take on it. What do you guys think about She-Hulk? Maybe I was wrong. Did some of you guys like it? Was I right on something? Was I wrong on something? But see you guys in the next episode. BQ Quick Review. Now we do.
Pick up the pieces and patches, I gotta be, cause the edges are jagged. I do not call my piece lessons with real beef, they be squeezing them ratchets. You not the same person that you on internet, I've been smelling some catfish. Don't condone violence, cause we move in silence, you know that they got it like Metal Gear Solid. Pick up the pieces and patches, I gotta be, cause the edges are jagged. I do not call my piece lessons with real beef, they be squeezing them ratchets. You not the same person that you on internet, I've been smelling some catfish. Don't condone violence, cause we move in silence, you know that they got it like Metal Gear Solid.